talk about Solomon, because obviously I'd like to say it's nearly done. I don't know how done it is, but it seems like it could be a good one for us in terms of just how the deal's kind of working.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be done tomorrow. It's going to be announced. And I think we'll all be pretty happy with it, to be honest, because, this is a player that showed in glimpses exactly what he will add to the team. He is good on both feet. He scored some very important goals for Fulham. And at one point, there was talk of Fulham having a charge for a European spot. And he was a big part of that from a sort of attacking point of view. Him and Mitrovic really did provide for a few months at least. And on a free, this is a guy that's 24, going to be 24 years old for us. He's got 5, 6 years, 7 years. He's not anywhere near his best. He's a player that I think can play probably on both wings if asked. And has a real raw pace about him. He's good with both feet, and this is exactly the type of player that I think we need as a backup, because there's going to be moments where, what if Harry Kane gets injured? So Son plays up top, and then we need someone to fill in at left mid, or Richarlison, who's been injured, more than he's not been. If he's out and he can't play on the left, so for me, especially in a season where we don't have European football, I'm looking at, when we play Wickham or Morecambe or whoever it is in the cup, we're going to have a pretty strong lineup, even by playing our second string team. And we're not going to be in a situation where we're going to Sheffield United, or another championship club at the time, playing a second string team and saying this team is just not good enough to get a result. There'll be no excuses now, because without the European football, we will have, hopefully, by the end of this window, the squad depth to go, okay, well, we're going to play Bentancur and we're going to play, Longley, and we're going to play all these players, Solomon, and actually give the players that we need to give a rest. Because how many times last season do we have players playing in the red zone? And when I say the red zone, it's when they have an injury and there is a very, very high risk period after the injury of re-aggravation. And a great example of that was Richarlison in the North London derby. Came on after 70 minutes. He wasn't meant to be back in the squad for a good 3, probably even 4 weeks after that injury. And he was back way too soon. And the way that the medical staff dealt with the Bentancur injury, making him walk off the pitch, and Harry Kane is believed to have said that he heard the ping when it went. This type of stuff, if it's going to happen, you need players to replace them of good quality. So absolutely great signing for me. And I think that he's one that can only get better. And let's not forget Son's age as well. So I'm hopeful, and this is not to say that Solomon's the be all and end all, but I'm hopeful that a player that can learn with these types of top players around him in this environment, maybe he can develop and be that natural successor to Son. If he, once his time is run, but at least as a backup, it's great.
Yes, definitely, and especially for the feet as well, Connor. Obviously, there was talk. Obviously, we were playing I can never say it. The disconnect. No, I'm butchered it. Playing them soon, so I would think that was probably the compensation fee, so to speak. But saying
Shakhtar
that.
Donetsk. Sorry,
Thank you. Cheers. That's the one. So you couldn't even understand what I was trying to say. But with that, obviously, it is great because we've seen Lucas go, and obviously many people, there's a big argument whether Lucas was good, not good, or it was just that Amsterdam night. But that being said, it's great to have someone like Solomon because he's so young and he's so impressionable. It can bring more to the table.
Absolutely, yeah. He's hungry. I mean, he was only at Fulham last season, and he had to come off the bench a lot. And when he come off the bench, he scored virtually 2 identical goals after each other. The one against Wolves, one against Leeds. He looked lively when he was coming off the bench. I think it was 4 or 5 goals he'd scored off the bench. So, and he's going to be that sort of player. He's not going to be starting against ahead of Son or Kulusevski. But we need that depth. We need someone to bring on to change a game. And I think that is better than what Lucas, and unfortunately Dan Juma just wasn't given the chance, so I don't want to slander him with saying that, but I think I like it. Again, it's free. We might pay some form of compensation. There's obviously a reason why we're playing that game against Shakhtar. It's very lovely, but there must be some sort of reason there, surely, for that. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories on it, but I think the fact that it is a free tells me straight away that we have even more impetus to go and get those centre backs. We're saving money there. Come on. Like, do you know what I mean? It's, if we're not going to push on and get Harvey Barnes, like we said before the show, because of the fee, and we've got Solomon in to fill that role, then we've saved so much money there. So to use it on the centre backs, sell some of the dead wood, and yeah, invest it. No, I'm a big fan. I've been slated a bit for saying I'm a big fan of the transfer, but again, he's a bench player for the time being. If he shows himself to be hungry and will definitely sort of take an impression on that, then he could well be starting games. And Sonny should have been dropped a lot more last season. We can all agree on that. But if Solomon can show that when maybe Son or Kulusevski aren't playing well, that he could step in, it's even better. No, I'm a big fan of it. And being a free transfer, it makes it even better.
Especially, we've always said that competition for place is definitely something that we need to have at Spurs. And even looking at our bench sometimes, Sonny, that the fact that we don't have these players to come on. Now with Solomon, we've potentially got that.
I feel like last year's bench was quite underwhelming. We didn't have anyone to look and call to, you know. Obviously, when it comes to attackers beyond that, like obviously Danjuma Saga was a bit of a joke now when we look at it. Lucas Moura, every time he came on, he was a bit of a calamity towards the end, which actually was a bit of a shame. And then apart from that, like when you look at the attackers, we've also got around the club, maybe like your Troy Parrott or your Dane Scarlett. I feel like Troy Parrott's time's probably coming to an end, maybe another loan spell, and Dane Scarlett, still quite young, didn't really work out for Portsmouth. They had a few managers last year as well, so a bit of a weird period for him. But no, I feel like there's really not a negative to it. Like I spoke to my friend who's a Fulham fan, and he did come in with like all these like, oh, but he didn't play that much, and I'm like, no, like there's what in the cameos he showed, because he had 19 appearances, 15 of those were from the bench. Like what how can you really judge that performance? And he was good in the FA Cup, and maybe that's what we need. We need a performer in the FA Cup to get us close to a trophy. And as we say, yeah, the Harvey Barnes fee now looks a bit like it could creep up even more. So I feel like it's a sensible option. And Daniel Levy's clever. He's got an Australian manager, he's got a South Korean superstar, and he's got an Israeli superstar. So he's really picking out the global market as well.